All right, everyone, welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Serwick, again with Mike Meredith. It's Tuesday. We have a lot to get into, but Mike, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Another crazy week of football. We have a lot more to cover after that as well, but of course, football being the star here of the show. Lots to unpack this week for the show.
Yeah, that's right. So let's get into it, man. Um, we'll go straight with our team, the Lions. Dan Campbell, man, he mistake after mistake with the coaching. I just I don't understand it. The defense looked horrible. Um, Lots to unpack, man. I mean, where do you want to start with this game?
Well, I don't even really know. I guess I'll just say that Seattle has had our number. I think they've said 9 of the last 10 times we faced Seattle, Seattle's beat us. They beat us last year in a shootout. They just, for some reason, they beat us, man. And I have a feeling that Seattle is going to become a really big rival for Detroit or something, man. I feel like the city does not like Seattle now, man. They have broken our hearts so many times now over the last few years.
Yeah, that's right. It's been 9 out of the last 10 times we played Seattle, they've beaten us, and yeah, I mean, so first of all, the defense was horrible, right? I mean,
Yeah,
all game,
37 points. Like,
yeah, all game long, you had they couldn't stop them. They had one sack, I think, on Geno Smith. Uh,
mm-hmm.
Barely any pressures. I mean, Hutch didn't look good. It was almost like he was
Yeah,
non-existent.
non-existent. Yeah,
And I mean, obviously we had James Houston go down, so that's a big problem there on its own. And he's out till November, so now we really have no pass rush because they're just gonna double team Hutch every single play now. Um, and then the poor coaching decisions at the end of the game. I just trying to play for the tie and hoping that you know you win the coin toss and you could go on and win it. That's not good football. I mean, they had the time to be able to. They had 57 seconds. They had three timeouts, and they never called any timeout, and they just went for the field goal when they had a shot to win it if Dan Campbell used his timeouts correctly, he would have more than likely won that game. But here we sit, and the Lions lost in overtime, and yeah, that I mean, just poor coaching decision by Dan Campbell yet again, and it makes the Lions lose.
yeah, man. I was thinking the same thing, but I guess the one reason why I think they were doing it that way is because they didn't want Seattle to get the ball back because Seattle's offense was looking, fine all game, and definitely didn't want Seattle to have the ball back in their hands with some time in regulation. But still, you got to be able to be aggressive. Detroit's culture is being aggressive, going for the win, going for it on fourth down. Definitely feel they should have been more aggressive.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing, right? Is Dan Campbell was aggressive on these fourth downs. Yeah, he went 1 for 3 on them in this game. He's aggressive all the time, and then you get into the last 2 minutes or so of the game, and he's suddenly super conservative, super just worried about everything else happening. And here's the thing: is he's an analytics guy. He listens to his analytics a lot. Um, Teams that listen to the analytics and play for the tie to go into overtime, do you want to know what their success rate is for that?
Let's see, he's under like 10%.
It's 38%. They have a 38%
Still not
success rate.
great.
Not good. And it's just like, why are we listening to the analytics when the analytics are clearly proven wrong? And you have coaches that are aggressive at the end of games that don't try to go for it, and they end up winning the games because they were aggressive and they went and they scored a touchdown in that time. And I understand not wanting to let Seattle get the ball. I understand that, but uh, you have control. You have total control of the game and the clock at that point. You got to do something. You can't just go and play for the tie, man. It's horrible.
Yeah, man. It was. And I guess I will say too, we have been going a little hard on the defense, and rightfully so. The defense was not looking good at all. But I will say probably the two of biggest plays of the game for Seattle that really turned the tide in their favor was coming out of halftime in the fumble. David Montgomery fumbled the ball, and they were able to score right after that. After we had held them to, not scoring much in the first half, and then the pick six as well from Goff. So those were two huge plays on offense that just killed us. You know, that were just heartbreaking for the momentum of the game.
Yeah, it really was. Obviously, like the pick six, yeah, it was a bad throw. But here's the thing: Jared Goff was actually closing in on the record for pass attempts without an interception. He was at 383, and the record I believe is 412, held by Aaron Rodgers without an interception. So I mean, you don't go almost. Most quarterbacks don't even get close to 400 pass attempts between an interception. I mean, if you're Josh Allen, you go like two pass attempts between them. If at least it felt like that in Week 1, but you know, yeah, it was a bad throw. You wish you could have that one back, but Montgomery fumbling, that one I think was the nail in the coffin for the Lions, because you get rid of that and you end up basically winning that game in regulation, because I mean, well, you really give them both back and you win that game handedly, but now, but that Montgomery one, that changed the entire momentum of the game, because the Lions came out swinging in the second half and then just laid that egg right there.
Yeah, because I mean the Lions had the ball going into the second half, and then fumbled, and Seattle was able to score, and it just turned the tides right there. Can't be doing that, man. Having the ball at the start of the half, you got to be able to put some points on the board, come out strong, and Seattle just, like I said, that just kind of really turned the momentum around. They had a monster third quarter. Detroit was able to close it in the fourth quarter, but they didn't go for the touchdown at the end, which was, sad. And then I knew right when Seattle won that coin toss, man, with how our defense was playing, that they would have no problem going down the field and winning.
Yeah.
By the way, I still hate that fucking overtime rule.
Oh, absolutely.
Both teams have a shot at it. Makes no fucking sense. Why can't
Right.
they do it like college does it? Like, it's ridiculous.
The way college does it is kind of stupid too, especially once you get to the 2-point conversion shootout. That's just stupid. But
but it's still better than not having a shot.
Right. But
I cannot. Yeah.
The only way you can rationalize that is like just get the stop, But at least they got rid of the thing where you can win it on a field goal pretty much. You have to score a touchdown. But it was just a brutal loss. And the other thing too that really pissed me off, not just because the defense was playing with no effort, but the scheme this entire weekend for the Lions was horrible as well. I mean, Jerry Jacobs is a guy who plays press coverage. He's not meant for being an offline corner. He's meant to be playing hard physical coverage, not this super soft coverage that they had him in all game long. And it's just like, why are we not utilizing our players skill set? Why are we doing all these different things? And we got to make those adjustments, because in the second half, if Jerry Jacobs was playing the way he's the way he's good at playing his position, we get rid of some of those completions, I think, that Seattle had in the second half that really could have also helped the Lions in a way. But the entire defensive scheme really this whole weekend for the Lions was terrible.
Yeah, and just also the penalties as well. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I believe he actually got hurt in that game.
Yeah, he's out for a while too.
Yeah, but he if you guys watched that game, that first drive, they get a big stop, I think on second or third down, push him back, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson pushes the guy down after the play and gets a flag for it for personal foul. So that puts them at first down. They're able to eventually score from there. Just doing dumb shit like that, man. You got to be able to keep that under control.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, and that's just you could almost say the same old Lions are back again because just stupid penalties like that Gardner Johnson had. Um, and obviously there were some penalties that happened against Detroit that weren't called. I'm not saying that's why they lost though, because it's not. You still have to make stops and still have to put up points. And while Lions were able to put up points, they just weren't able to stop Seattle, and that was the biggest issue in the entire game was just the defense just could not stop them, and they let Geno Smith get comfortable, and that's why he looked really good.
Yeah, man. Seattle, they won another one, man. Crazy.
Yeah, and the Lions came out of this battered. Obviously, C.J. Gardner-Johnson out, James Houston's out now. It's not looking good. And speaking of injuries, man, Nick Chubb going down last night.
Oh my
Oh
gosh,
man,
man. So
how big of a panic mode is that team in now because their star running back is gone.
yeah, so I don't know if I don't think anyone was really saying Cleveland was a Super Bowl contender, but that's a huge loss. I mean, that's definitely their best player on offense, I think. And man, I personally I had Nick Chubb on my fantasy team. He was my first round pick, and wow, that just is crazy. We'll get a little bit more into the games, but me and one of my coworkers were joking around that it's like the Monday night curse, with Rodgers last week getting hurt out for the year. Now Nick Chubb this week on Monday. Just crazy, man. That was so brutal. If you want to see the injury, it's very gruesome. But yeah, just Nick Chubb, man, I cannot believe that. And a lot of people were giving Minka Fitzpatrick hate on the tackle. What do you think about that?
He was just making a play, right? I mean, I can't blame him for it, but
they were saying he should have definitely wrapped his legs instead of taking his shoulder into his knee.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's just in football, everything's so fast paced. Like you break it down in slow motion, you make everything. You take any play in slow motion, right? And realize, oh well, the player could have done this, the player could have done that, but you really have to judge everything at normal speed and think about just what players are actually doing and going through. It's a very quick game, right? So yeah, he could have done better, but at the same time, you can't really just blame him and be like, well, he did that on purpose, blah blah blah, whatever all these people are complaining about now. Yeah, it was a bad hit, but at the end of the day, it's football. Things are moving very very fast, and it sucks. You hate to see it, but it's just one of those things where you can't just uh, you know, wish that people just would do exactly what they should be doing in those moments. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say there, but yeah.
Yeah, man, just crazy turn of events.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Let's just get right into that game then. The Browns and Steelers, obviously. The Steelers coming back in the second half. It was a pretty crazy game. Neither team really looked good. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think Penny Kickett, yeah. Kenny Pickett is. I don't think he's really that guy. And Deshaun Watson, man, he horrible. 22 for 40.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I thought maybe last year he was just knocking all the rust off, but nope, he wasn't knocking any rust off. He was just that bad, and I think he's proven it so far again this year.
Yeah, I think both these teams are looking outside the playoffs. Cleveland, I had a little bit of hopes for, but yeah, Deshaun Watson didn't look great with Nick Chubb now being out for the year. I see them falling back here, definitely taking a step back for the rest of their season.
Yeah, absolutely. I no Nick Chubb definitely hurts Cleveland. I thought they're definitely a playoff team, but now no Nick Chubb, and it's gonna be very very hard for them. Their defense still is really really good, but yeah. The other Monday night game, we had the Saints at the Panthers. I took Carolina in this one, and I don't even know what to say, man. I'm in a pick'em league, and I was the only one out of 20 people in that entire league to select Carolina, and I thought maybe just maybe we could have it, but no, no, it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I had the Saints in that game because from last week, definitely thought the Saints were better. I mean, the Saints aren't that great either, but um, yeah, man, Carolina looked bad.
Bryce Young especially looked bad, and I think he was the best quarterback taken in this draft this year, but I man, and Anthony Richardson made a really well had a really really nice game too, which you hate to see it, but I was wrong about Carolina. I thought they would easily win this game. New Orleans, I mean, both these teams suck. I mean, if we're being honest, but um, yeah, it's one of those games where it's just like both teams are so bad. At least my under bet hit on this game. I bet the 38 and a half point under, and that hit, thankfully.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, both teams just didn't look good. Bryce Young, 22 for 33, 153 yards. Um, didn't throw any picks, and then Derek Carr, 21 for 36. I mean, both these quarterbacks didn't look good. Um, and yeah, it's just it was one of those games where I like to watch. If it's low scoring, if the defenses are actually the reason why they're you know
Yeah.
why these games are fun to watch. I love a good defensive matchup where the offenses just can't move the ball because the defenses are that good. But when it's just the offenses are both pretty fucking bad, you get games like this that aren't that fun to watch.
Yeah, this game was super boring to watch. Definitely the least exciting of the two games. And even, like I said, the Steelers Browns wasn't even that great either, to be honest. But definitely the better of the two games.
Yeah, it definitely was. Thursday we had the Eagles and the Vikings. Eagles winning that 34-28. Um, I thought the Eagles would have played a little bit better. I mean, I had them to win it, obviously, but Kirk Cousins didn't look too bad. 31 for 44 at 364. You know, 4 touchdown passes. He looked really good. It's just he can't play like that in the playoffs. He turns into a fucking pumpkin in the spotlight, and it's just it's so bad. Jalen Hurts looked really good too, and DeAndre Swift, man, he
Man, what a game.
I what a game. And the thing that bugs me is like yes, I didn't want to pay him as a Lions fan because I have this rule, and I know a lot of people agree with me, is you do not pay running backs at all. Um, Philadelphia paid him, and I mean, he produced really well. It's just going to be a damn shame once he gets injured because that man is
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, man, them running backs and injury prone are just, yeah, crazy. But yeah, Philly, man, pulling out with the win. They were up, I think, 27-7 at one point in this game, and Minnesota started coming back. And I believe covered the spread. I think it was a 6.5 or 7 spread, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Minnesota actually covered in this game.
I'd have to try and find that what that spread was pregame, but I believe you are right. I believe Minnesota did cover. Um, so I mean, if you bet that, then good for you. So the line was Philly by 6. So yeah, the Minnesota did
So it was
cover.
a push.
Yeah, it was a push. Um, that said, both these teams played really well. They both scored the same amount of points in the second half, so it really didn't matter. Eagles put up 14 in the third quarter, and the Vikings put up that 14 in the fourth, and then they both split seven. Philly in the fourth, and then Vikings in the third. So they didn't really necessarily come back, I would say. It's just Philly had those two field goals in the first half that really just pushed them to win. Because other than that, they were pretty equal, and it was a pretty equal game as far as I'm concerned, with both QB performances, um, and also uh, the receiving performances. But in terms of rushing, the Eagles were, I mean, just dominant. Minnesota couldn't run the ball at all. Alexander Madison, 28 yards on 8 carries. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll go back to the Sunday slate of games. The Bills beat the Raiders 38-10. Yeah, I
Those
think
look great.
I took the Raiders in that one. Just
Yeah, those finally came back and actually played. Uh, finally making up, I guess, somewhat for their poor performance. Monday night last week, they finally, they were like no doubt in anyone's mind in this one. They blew the doors off the Raiders.
Yeah, I took the Raiders only because how bad the Bills looked on Monday night last week. Huge mistakes were made. That's okay. But yeah, I mean the Bills looked really really good. I mean, granted they were playing a very bad team in the Raiders, but um, yeah, Josh Allen looked really really good, especially after last week. He threw three touchdown passes instead of three interceptions. So
Yeah.
so things were looking good. 31 for 37. Um, the rushing game looked good. They had 183 yards on the ground. Um, James Cook looked really really good, despite not having a touchdown. 17 for 123 looked very solid. And on the flip side, Jimmy G just doing Jimmy G things.
Yep.
I mean, that man just. Why does he still have a job? Is the real question. Um,
For real.
I just yeah. Um, Ravens beat the Bengals 27-24. I don't believe. No, I did take Baltimore in this one. So I'm glad I did. Yeah, not the greatest start to the season for Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow re-aggravating that calf injury that he sustained in training camp. Things are not looking good for Cincinnati right now, man.
Yeah, man. Similar to last year, they're starting off slow again. Burrow, they just paid him, the huge contract. Now he's got injury problems again. You got a lot to figure out in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, that's for sure. And their defense too. They need to be better. They made Lamar Jackson look like an actual quarterback, and that's quite impressive to do because Lamar sucks, man. I have no faith in him. He can't throw, but he was able to throw very well against the Cincinnati defense, which again, like I just said, very very bad this year. If I was a Cincinnati fan, I'd be in panic mode right now, especially with Joe Burrow possibly being out this week. We'll just have to see on that one. Um, Jags and the Chiefs. Chiefs won that. I took the Chiefs in that. I believe you did too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those games where it was kind of a just the defense was getting stop after stop after stop, and it was a very fun game for me to watch because of that. Um, you know, Jacksonville was was they couldn't move the ball as much, and Trevor Lawrence didn't look that good. 22 for 41, and you're not gonna win games kicking field goals, man. I mean, they have to
No.
they have to move the ball a lot better than they did. and then even then, the Chiefs didn't look that great either. I mean, uh, Mahomes looked pretty good. I mean, it's Mahomes. He always looks pretty good. But 29 for 41. He had the interception. Uh, and yeah, it's just one of those games where neither team could really move the ball well. And Jacksonville's defense is really really good. I think. I didn't think they would beat Kansas City, but to hold them only to 17 points, I mean that speaks a lot for that defense.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely a low scoring game. Defenses kind of really stood out in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a game that I know you hate. The
Oh,
Titans and the Chargers. Titans win it in overtime. Brandon Staley proving yet again
yeah,
he
yeah,
is
why he
the
can't.
Scott Frost of the NFL.
Yep, I knew they were going to disappoint. I literally called it earlier in the day. I was telling everyone like, the Chargers are going to find a way to stay in the lead all game and lose this game. And then what happened? They were in the lead basically all the game, and then OT and they lose. So no shockers there for me. Brandon Staley is one of the worst coaches in football, one of the worst game managers in football. Herbert's talent's being wasted here. It's sad, man.
Yeah, no, I feel bad. I mean, I don't think Justin Herbert is like that elite level of quarterback that Mahomes is, or I would have said Josh Allen before last week, but I don't think he's there anymore. But he's not a Burrow or a Mahomes. He's a really good quarterback. I just don't think he's that elite level quarterback. But I absolutely agree. He's being wasted in LA. If Brandon Staley has a job still by the end of the season, I'm going to be very shocked because LA LA should be 2-0 right now. I mean,
Yeah.
plain and simple. I mean, they've lost bad games that were very winnable to very bad teams, and Tennessee's a very bad team.
Yeah.
If you're losing to Ryan Tannehill in this day and age, and here's the thing, Ryan Tannehill looked really good. He had he had a 56 QBR, which not that good, but he went 20 for 24 and 246 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he didn't look that bad, but my biggest issue is the fact that the Chargers were leading most of that game, and they still just found a way to lose to a really bad Titans team and a really bad quarterback in Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. Staley should have been fired at least 2 years ago, and he still has a job after the bullshit that he did in the playoffs last year. And now this bullshit that's going on this year, like they just need to fire him, man.
Yeah. Next slate of games, Atlanta beating Green Bay 25-24. It wasn't a last second field goal. It was 57 seconds left now, a last minute field goal at least. Um, the Falcons are kind of shocking to me this year. And here's the thing, Desmond Ritter sucks. He sucks. But the way they're able to utilize Bijan Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
dude.
Bijan Robinson had people touching the earth, man. I mean, he was making guys miss like crazy.
And what's even crazier is the fact that he didn't even score a touchdown in that game. It was he had 124 yards on 19 touches and no touchdowns. I mean, yeah, he still helped Atlanta get this win with just his incredible playmaking abilities that he has. He also had 4 catches for 48 yards, and he's able to help this team, especially with how bad Desmond Ritter is, with going 19 for 32. My biggest problem is that I still just don't understand how this team is as good as they are. And defensively, they don't look that bad either. They look a lot better defensively than I thought they would be this season. And I think I'd take back also what I said about Jordan Love on Thursday, or was it last week on Tuesday, thinking that he might be that guy because he didn't look that good this weekend.
Yeah, he definitely did not look as strong, and I think that might be in part because they, played the Bears in the first week. But we'll see. I think he'll definitely be, solid. I still think he'll be all right, but like I said, as a Lions fan, kind of hoping that he doesn't do as well for the Packers.
Yeah, I really hope he ends up flopping out because I'm a Lions fan and I hate Green Bay. But he didn't. He wasn't terrible this weekend. He wasn't great. He was good. He was good. 14 for 25, 3 touchdown passes. Not bad, but it's just that offense should be able to move that ball better than they did against that Atlanta defense. And that's kind of just really my whole issue there, is that they weren't able to move the ball that well against Atlanta's defense. I mean, they don't have anyone on defense, so how are you not able to move the ball? I just don't understand that. So here's a game that disappointed me. I took the Texans. I thought C.J. Stroud was that guy. He's not. I thought Anthony Richardson would be a bust. He's proving very well that he's probably not. I mean, he looked really good this game. Let's see here. Actually, no. He didn't play much, did he? No, he didn't. Gardner Minshew was in most of the game, actually. That's interesting. Yeah, because I only watched a little bit of that game, but from what I saw, he was looking really good. But yeah, man, the Texans couldn't do anything. And while C.J. Stroud played fairly well, he had a QBR of 49.1, despite 384 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? I thought the Texans were a lot better than the way they performed, but they just their defense is so bad. But at the same time, this is what you come to expect from Houston, because their whole organization's just a joke.
Yeah. Man, Houston, like I said, I picked the Colts. I just thought that they were just that little bit better, even though they suck as well. Houston's just that much worse, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just Houston just, I don't understand it, man. I mean, I know they went all out to, they went and got C.J. Stroud, and then they moved up, I believe, to get, who did they take with that other pick?
Will Anderson.
Yeah, that's right. And that defense is so bad. Really, the only thing they have on that team is Will Anderson, and it's just I don't understand, man. Houston's just, that organization is so poorly ran. I don't understand anything anymore. But yeah, I think Houston was favored in this one. Yeah, they were only favored by 1, so Indy, Indy obviously winning the game by 11 points, way more than covered on that one. The Bucks beat the Bears 27-17. Can we just talk about how bad Justin Fields is?
Bro, Ray Charles sees the field better.
Wait.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, no, he's. Oh man, he ran into sacks.
Bro, that dude always he's just looking around. Like, bro, either get rid of the ball or fucking run or do something, bro. Like, what are you doing, man?
I don't know. He ran into a sack. I mean, like, you sent me a video or a TikTok. I think it was on Sunday night of that one play where he literally ran into the sack. When if you look at one, he had a receiver wide open that he could have just thrown right to for a touchdown. And then even if you don't see that, which I mean Ray Charles could have seen that, but
Yeah.
but if you if you don't see that somehow, you you still just run off to the right because your tackle was pushing that defensive end inwards, and you still decided to run it straight up the middle. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I just.
Man,
He's so.
I'm not sure if it's Justin Fields or if it's Chicago or a mix of both, but it's just like, yeah, they got to part ways, man. It's just not working out.
I think it's more on him. I mean, he's as blind as a bat out there. I mean, you can't you can't just run right into traffic and think, oh yeah, I'll be fine and not get sacked. He ran into sacks. He missed wide open receivers all day long, and I get it. Most quarterbacks will miss a wide open receiver once or twice a game. It happens. But to do it on the consistent level that he does it every single game, way more than 5-6 times a game, that gets concerning. And as a head coach, that should be concerning to me. I don't understand it, man. He is horrible, and he's just living up to that reputation of Ohio State quarterbacks don't do well.
Yep, man. And the Bears quarterbacks, I mean, they've never had a good quarterback in their entire existence, man. They have just miss after miss after miss at quarterback, man. They still can't find their guy.
No, they can't. And I take back my comments from earlier on Thursday's episode where I said, he's a great athlete. He could be a running back, but a running back's not going to run into 3 defensive linemen. I mean, this is just ridiculous, man. Justin Fields is so bad. There's no improvement from him over the years, and it's just looking really, really bad. Baker Mayfield looked pretty good too. Got to give some credit to him. Obviously, he only had the 1 touchdown pass, but this Tampa team, we know they're not that good, but they've been playing pretty well. I mean, yes, they've played some pretty bad teams in the first 2 weeks, but they're not playing bad. And Baker, he might still have it in him.
Yeah, he has enough to definitely carry this team at least throughout this season and possibly win the division. That division's so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. The G-Men taking on the Cardinals. Man, I thought after the first half we were looking at another week 1 with the Giants. Man, I mean,
20-0.
Yeah, I thought against Arizona, no less. A team that's intentionally tanking. Yeah.
Josh Dobbs looked like Josh Allen in that game.
It
was crazy.
I'm almost convinced that they went into the locker room at halftime and just told the defense to just stop playing so that we could tank for Bryce Williams. I mean, dude, the Giants look really bad. I mean, come on, man. That was horrible.
Yep, it took everything out of them to win that game at the end. I remember looking, I'm like, oh my god, man, they are down this bad at the Cardinals, and then I look and it's 28-28, and they win at the end. But it's just like, that's just pathetic, man. Having to do all that just to beat the Cardinals, who are trying to tank for Caleb Williams. Nah, man, that's just awful. The Giants, man, even though they won this week, they should be ashamed, man, that how bad they played.
Absolutely, man. I mean, like I said, I am 100% convinced that that the Cardinals went into the locker room at halftime and were told to stop playing defense, let the Giants score so we can get Caleb Williams. I mean, there's no other explanation to that. I mean, the Giants just looked piss poor. And that's just another two poverty franchises playing against each other. Um, Rams and Niners played. Niners obviously winning it by a touchdown. Um, you had Brock Purdy looked pretty solid. Matt Stafford looked meh. He had two interceptions in that game. You take those away, and he actually looks fairly good. But yeah, I think I'm almost tempted to say the Rams are a lot better than everyone thought they would be this year. I mean, so far they've proven it because they've been able to put up points against pretty good teams in Seattle and San Francisco. Obviously, they beat Seattle last week, which I never saw happening. But putting up only losing by a touchdown to San Francisco, that's not that bad.
Yeah, that was definitely respectable. Even though they kind of were in the same situation that Seattle and the Lions are, where San Francisco's beating the Rams like a lot over the last 10 times they play each other. I think it's like the same 9 out of the last 10 or something like that. They have beaten them, or like 9 in a row, something like that. Yeah, the Rams definitely put up a bigger fight than I thought. Puka Nakua, man, I mean, he's just coming out of nowhere, man. Since Cooper Kupp has been hurt, he's a rookie, I think, out of BYU, man. He has been putting up some big numbers.
Poo Poo Nakua. No, that's just a nickname I have for him. He's actually looking really good. But Cowboys beat the Jets. I mean, well, we know the Jets are not going to be that good anymore this year. Especially after no Aaron Rodgers. You had Zach Wilson. He played very bad, 3 interceptions. Hey, Josh Allen. you know, I hate Josh Allen, man. He's so bad. Dak looked really, really good. 31 for 38, 2 touchdowns. I mean, I think it's safe to say Dallas might be the best team in the NFC right now. They've just been playing at a really good level on both sides of the ball, but we know that's all going to end when the playoffs come, anyways.
Yeah, man, and shout out Micah Parsons, man. He might be the MVP right now, or at least the Defensive Player of the Year. He has been going crazy.
Oh, dude, Micah Parsons, man, dude. That guy is scary. I mean, 2 sacks. I mean, dude is just incredible. Washington beats Denver.
Oh my god,
That was
Hail Mary, man. At the
dude.
end. That was crazy.
I could not believe it when I saw that when I was watching the highlights. Russell Wilson, man, he is bad, and
Man,
I know him and Sean Payton don't get along, but
yeah.
dude, when
I saw someone talking about Russell Wilson, and they're like, Russell Wilson's 34, but he looks like he plays like he's 39. Like, and he was saying that I've never seen a quarterback, pre-35, not off injury, just like decline this bad. It's like Russell Wilson, man. There's no comp for it.
there really isn't. I mean, I've never seen a quarterback that's under 35 just regress this bad. Uh, Really, I haven't seen an athlete across any sport regress this bad under the age of 35, especially after being, one of the best in whatever sport it is at the time. And just to regress as bad as he has, I almost wonder if it's just something in his personal life. And I don't want to speculate on that, but I almost wonder if there's some stuff just behind the scenes that we don't know about, because the dude is it's like he's not focused at all on football.
Yeah, he just looks terrible, man. Yeah, like he put on the Denver jersey and just became a whole totally different player, man.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And then lastly, the Dolphins beat the Patriots 24-17. Tua being Tua again, just looking really, really good. 21 for 30. Yeah, he had the interception, but it wasn't a bad game again for Tua. Raheem Mostert was really good. 18 carries for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, yeah. And then as much as the Tyreek and Tua connection worked last week for you, buddy, in that fantasy league, it wasn't all that great this week, was it?
Yeah, not really. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy shit that went on in this game, though. The meme of Bill Belichick throwing the challenge flag, that was all over the internet. There was a fan who actually got killed at the game. I don't know if you heard about that story.
Yeah. Oh, I feel so bad, man. That's horrible.
Yeah, that was a crazy event that happened. Just a crazy game, for real.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing as fans? Just killing people at games. I mean,
Over football, yeah.
over a game. You're gonna really go out and kill someone over a game? Come on, man. Grow up. Grow up.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, man. I just, yeah, I don't know what we're doing as fans. I mean, I just don't get it. This is ridiculous. This happens every year. Someone gets hurt or killed by other fans of a different team. You know, this is just not good. And the dude was, a father of two. I mean, what are we doing, man?
Yeah, man. People just got to be better, man. They got to do something, man, about these crazy fans, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just gonna quickly run through college football. We're already pretty deep into this episode. Um, Michigan beat Bowling Green 31-6. They didn't look good. McCarthy looked really bad. I mean, obviously, quarterbacks obviously are gonna have those. That one game where just you're not throwing very well. McCarthy just looked horrible. Defensively, They made some adjustments after the first quarter, really, that really started to work for Michigan because Bowling Green was actually able to move the ball quite a bit. But yeah, not a good game for Michigan. I think, I don't even think they're the best team right now in the Big Ten, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think that goes to Penn State. Florida State and Boston College, that was a close one. Florida State winning only by 2 when they were favored by, I think, 25. Boston College showed out for that game.
They did.
Penn State beating Illinois 30-13. They covered. Illinois, like I said, regression candidate this year. Penn State's defense looking really, really good as well. I think Penn State is the best team in the Big Ten right now. I think it goes, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, and everyone else is just horrible. Speaking of horrible in the Big Ten, Michigan State and Washington, man, that was yikes. That was yikes, man. And speaking of Michigan State, it sounds like, they are going to fire Mel Tucker over this situation because he broke the morality clause of his contract, which you can't do. So, I mean, he doesn't have a case for anything. He's going to try to take Michigan State to court to, get his money, but I don't think he has any case because he did breach his contract at the end of the day. But Michael Penix Jr. looked like he was playing against, a fourth grade team. I mean, Michigan State's defense looked just horrible. And if Washington really wanted to, they could have probably put up 80 on Michigan State if they really, really tried.
Yeah, it was just awful.
It's just absolutely horrible. Iowa beat Western Michigan 41-10. Their offensive coordinator, he's in the black now. He's no longer in the red. He was able to, put up some points. But I think that ends coming into conference play this week. Duke beat Northwestern 38-14. Not much to talk about there. Northwestern, obviously, a really bad program, probably the worst in the Big Ten right now. North Carolina beating Minnesota 31-13. Again, not much to talk about. Minnesota's also a very, very bad team. And here was an interesting game to watch, was the Bama South Florida game. I mean, it was 3-3 for the majority of that game, and I was really, really hoping South Florida won that game because it would have just been like chef's kiss to see Alabama lose to such a bad team in South Florida.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure too. They change quarterbacks. They officially announced a change in QBs at Alabama.
Yeah, I believe that's right. I mean, let's be fair. If I was Nick Saban, man, I'm in my 70s. I'm done at the end of the season. I'm just gonna retire while I can, while I still have a somewhat decent team. But I mean, Alabama's not looking good, and this program's going downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, finally the dynasty's ending.
Absolutely, I'm glad it is. I really hope this Georgia one is over soon too, because I mean Kirby Smart's a great football coach. He's gonna stay at Georgia forever. But I just really hope that we can have other teams that aren't in the SEC be able to compete for natties consistently like these other SEC teams are going to be able to. Speaking of Georgia, though, they were down at halftime against South Carolina, 14. They won 24-14. They were down 14-3 though at half, and it held South Carolina to no points in the second half. I was really hoping South Carolina would have won that game. Simply because it would have put Michigan at number one. I just want to see the number one next to Michigan at least once in my lifetime. I want to see that number one right next to Michigan's name just once. But yeah, Georgia obviously made a lot of good adjustments in halftime to obviously hold South Carolina to no points. The other issue though is Spencer Rattler. He played like ass in that second half as well. I mean, yeah. Outside of those games, there's really nothing to talk about. Well, there's one more: Colorado State going to two overtimes. Yeah. That was a crazy one, and it rightfully moved Colorado down in the rankings. When you almost lose to a FCS school, I think that's kind of deserved. Colorado obviously is a better program than I thought they would be, and I think most people thought they would be. But yeah, I mean, that was a much closer game than I'm sure Colorado wanted to play there. Obviously, there was that one injury that happened in that game to one of Colorado's players. But someone from Colorado State was getting death threats for it. And Dion, came out in public and said, well, this player doesn't deserve, all these death threats and whatever, for, what's been happening. It was Henry Blackburn, that's getting all these, death threats for hitting, it was an illegal hit on Travis Hunter, but, yeah, like we just talked about with the NFL fans, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, death threats? Come on, man, grow up. It's a game. But yeah, so we're kind of running short on time. We kind of went really, really long on the NFL stuff, so we're gonna skip the blitzes for tonight with both the NFL and the college football. We'll probably hit those on Thursday. I believe Ian might be back on the episode with us there. But I'm gonna quickly jump into a story in the NHL. Mike Babcock stepped down as the Columbus head coach, and Pascal Vincent, who's been the associate head coach for Columbus for the past 2 years, he's been named the interim head coach now for Columbus. Babcock obviously facing a bunch of allegations, inappropriately asking to see players' phones for pictures. Allegedly, it is to see inappropriate pictures of players' phones. You can't be doing that as a head coach. I mean, that's just wrong. It goes against their privacy. Nothing official has been out there, but the fact that Babcock stepped down, I think that says a lot about, the truth behind everything that's being said about him. And I don't know if you've heard anything about this story or if you have any thoughts on it.
Um, yeah. So of course, I remember Babcock as the Red Wings coach, and just a lot of crazy stuff going on. I didn't really know, the full details to the story. But yeah, just a lot of crazy shit going on with, him taking people's phones and stuff, and all the allegations, I guess, against him.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. I mean, this was probably his last chance at being a head coach too. Obviously, he won a Stanley Cup with Detroit. He tried to do it with Toronto. That didn't work out. Things went really south for him. Uh, he wanted to get back into coaching, and he was a head coach for a team for only a couple months, really, in Columbus, and now he didn't even get to go through all of training camp. He didn't get to even coach a preseason game. I mean, this is it for him, I think. And I mean, it's a shame what happened, and it shouldn't have happened. But here we are, and yeah, man, it's just one of those things where coaches are doing things that they think, you know, that they know they shouldn't do, but are still doing because they feel like they can still get away with it. Because I mean, hockey culture has been built on really, doing things that you could probably get away with, but now with social media and all this other stuff out there now, it's just coaches have to be better than this, and it's a shame. Babcock has been like this, and he got caught, doing something like this, and it's horrible. But yeah, that's really it. We'll just see how Pascal Vincent does as a head coach. I mean, he has tenure. He knows most of the players on this team now, and we'll just have to see how he does in Columbus this year. And Columbus is one of those middle of the road teams, so we'll just have to see what comes of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know there's some NBA stuff you wanted to touch on, so let's get into that.
Yeah, so I guess transitioning here into the NBA, we had talked about, I think it was in the first or second episode of FIBA World Cup that had been going on. That was sort of the big news of, basketball at the moment because, they're in the off season. And the United States should be just ashamed of themselves, man. They did not win a gold, silver, or a bronze medal. They did not win anything. They lost to Canada. We lost to Canada, man.
What a shame.
In the bronze game. And then Germany ended up winning the gold against Serbia in the championship with Dennis Schroeder. He is NBA player. He's a good player, but nothing really great. And he carried Germany to the win over Serbia. But still, United States, man, even with not having as much great talent as we've had in the past, we still had the best team, and just so disappointing. And just such sad way for the United States to be represented this year. They were saying that for the Paris, the Olympics coming up in Paris in 2024, that we can get the team better, and we got to get back on track because that was just absolutely awful. So that was, I guess, the main news.
So I have just a quick question here. So you're telling me that in the World Cup final for basketball,
mm-hmm.
we had two East. Well, I guess you could call Germany, part of Germany anyways, was an Eastern Bloc country for a while, and Serbia an Eastern Bloc. But the Final Four of this tournament were three hockey countries, not countries that are not known for basketball, as far as I'm concerned. But at least in the hockey world, Serbia, Canada, obviously, and Germany, they're all very well known for great hockey and good hockey players. I mean, you can name a billion great Canadian hockey players. Obviously, there's a lot of good German talent right now with Seider and Draisaitl, and then in Serbia, I mean, they've fallen off in hockey over the past few years, but they still have very good players. But you're telling me, America lost, America, the basketball country, lost to a hockey country in the tournament,
Yeah, yeah, crazy,
and
right?
two hockey teams or two hockey countries were playing in the championship. That makes no sense
Yeah.
to me, man.
Dude, it was such a weird tournament, man. Just crazy. Like, I don't even know how the United States just failed this bad this year. Like, to not even be one of the top three teams is just crazy to me.
What's also here's kind of my take on that, or what I think at least is happening. Um, it's not necessarily that these other countries are just getting better at basketball, but it's more so just we had a lot of young kids on this team as far as I'm concerned, right?
Yeah, yeah, we did.
So part of me almost wonders if they're not taking it as seriously as like guys like LeBron would, or
Yeah.
any of these veterans that everyone loves. I wonder if these young kids were just not taking it as seriously as these veterans would have.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that. They, the stats weren't too crazy for any of the players. Like, um, not averaging, of course, that they were in the NBA. But yeah, just I don't know, something just about that team just did not click well together.
Right. I believe you're about to start talking about something else that you wanted to talk about here as well.
Yeah, so I guess that was the main thing that I wanted to address for basketball. Honestly, in the world of basketball right now, it's been pretty quiet as of late. We're really looking forward to the season. It's coming up here in about a month. Um, there have not been like any trades or big signs. Of course, the off season came and went for agency, and there were some decently big moves here and there. Teams who got better, teams who kind of stayed the same, and teams who lost some players. The free agency pool wasn't too crazy though this year. A lot of rookie debuts that we're looking forward to. We'll have to see how. Like I said, there was some trade rumors back in the first couple episodes, and I was talking about the NBA with James Harden and Damian Lillard. So those could start heating up again as the season starts. But yeah, I'm excited to see who's gonna come out the gates. Just red hot, man. Because I do think that the NBA is pretty open this year. I mean, there really isn't like a dominant team that's like clear cut. Like this is like the best team. Denver's probably going to be favored just because they won last year and they are keeping their same team at the head. Phoenix just got a third superstar on the team, so they have a good chance. They have like no bench, so we'll have to see, man. I'm really curious to see who's going to do well. Like I said, this is pretty rare in the NBA where there's like not really a clear cut. Like this is the best team, like better than everyone else.
Yeah, I mean it has been quiet for the NBA and as well as the NHL. I mean there hasn't been a whole lot going on in terms of trades or signings. I mean, you still have Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves still available as free agents, but I don't think anyone's gonna pick them up. I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, Patrick Kane won't take veteran minimum, that's for sure. But I don't think anyone wants that aging vet or either of these aging vets. We did have a trade today, a small one. Montreal and Vancouver traded. Vancouver picked up Casey DeSmith, and then Montreal picked up Tanner Pearson in a third-round pick from Vancouver in 2025. But yeah, it's been a pretty quiet off season. And then on the 13th, I'm looking at Cap Friendly right now. Montreal acquired Jakov Novak from Ottawa for future considerations. So future considerations off to Ottawa now. He's been traded a billion times already this offseason, which is, it's a running joke in the NHL. But it's a very quiet offseason for both these. Off season for both these leagues, both in the NHL and the NBA.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited though to get the season started. We'll definitely be seeing some more news, and definitely we'll be talking about it a lot more as the season finally gets started here for both those sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quickly, I just want to touch on something real quick on in the NHL. Let me count here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You got 14 teams over the salary cap right now in the NHL. Um,
Are,
yeah,
yeah, are they thinking about raising the salary cap? I know in the
Y-
NBA they've done that. They've
yeah,
given teams more leeway, and they have the luxury tax and stuff like that. Or if you go over a certain amount, then you have to pay money to other teams in the NBA. To kind of balance things out a little bit.
yeah. So the NHL has that hard cap, so you have to be under it to be able to even play your team that night. If you're a dollar, if you're even a cent over that hard cap, you forfeit the game automatically. Um,
Oh wow!
yeah, it's a hard cap. They did increase it this year, and they are further increasing it next year as well. But right now Toronto's 13 million over the salary cap. And Tampa Bay has a second least amount. They're 6.9 million over the salary cap. So obviously these teams are going to be using that LTIR um, loophole that's been going on for the past few years to ensure that they're under the salary cap every single day during the regular season, because there's no salary cap in the playoffs. You can be over the salary cap in the playoffs if you want, but you have to be under it in the regular season, which a lot of fans don't like that rule. Um, like Tampa Bay, the last time they won the cup, were 18 million over the salary cap in the playoffs, which is crazy to think about. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just I know that salary cap is increasing, especially when you start having contracts like what Matthews just signed earlier this season, or this offseason rather. And it's definitely going to bring some relief to some of these teams towards the top of the salary cap. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think in the next CBA, what's going to be addressed is the use of LTIR, because these teams are putting healthy players on the LTIR just because, just so they can get themselves under the salary cap, which obviously something needs to be addressed there. And I think that was like the next big thing that's going to happen with the CBA is how that's all handled.
Yeah, man, totally. And I guess I actually wanted to take over here for a second. As I was mentioning with the NBA, there wasn't really much going on. I was kind of looking through here to see if there was any big news. And one thing I forgot to mention, man, this happened like about a week ago. This guy named Kevin Porter Jr., he was arrested for like assaulting his girlfriend. So it's like a Ray Rice situation, man.
Oh
And
boy.
yeah, the videos were looking pretty bad, man. He was involved in a lot of shady shit, man. So this is a guy who I wouldn't be shocked if he's not in the league at all anymore. He is not even really that great of a player. Um, I mean, he's a solid player, but definitely someone who he ain't gonna be able to get away with this one, man. Like, just what is wrong
Yeah.
with these players, man?
I don't know, man. These players, young players especially, are just out here doing stupid shit all the time, and it doesn't matter the sport. I mean, you got guys in all these sports just doing stupid shit they know they shouldn't be doing, but yet they're still doing it. And I think it just goes back to what I said earlier about the players just not caring, even in the game. Obviously, like with this FIBA tournament, the U.S. team didn't look interested. They didn't care, and I think it's not just on the court that they don't care. It's or on the field or on the ice, whatever. It's also off the ice or off the field or off the court that these players just don't care. They think that, oh, I get a bunch of money now, I can just do whatever I want, and the world doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that just about wraps it up. I guess real quick we could preview the Thursday night games, just because obviously we'll be recording then. Obviously Thursday night, Niners and the Giants. San Francisco favored by 10. I'm gonna take the Niners in this one. Obviously, the Giants are frauds, and they're just really bad, all around. And yeah, I think you just said you agree.
Yep, I agree. I think the 49ers, and I think they'll win by more than 2 touchdowns, I think. 49ers they'll keep the score low. I mean, the Giants, they can't score against anyone. They couldn't score in the first half against Arizona. How are they going to score against the 49ers defense?
Yeah, exactly. And then Thursday, for college football, there's only one game. It's Coastal Carolina versus Georgia State. Coastal favored by 6.5 there, and yeah, I'm gonna take Coastal in that one as well. I mean, it's a group of 5 play. No one really cares. But yeah, I'm gonna take Coastal on that one. I mean, they were ranked not too long ago. I think it was 2 years ago they were a ranked team. I think they're building something with that team, but yeah, not much of interest in this game, and really this week there's only like a couple games that I'm interested in this week. But we'll cover those all on Thursday's episode. So with that, rate, review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Do the thing that helps us. And we will see you guys on Thursday. Mike, close us out.
Yeah, everybody. We'll see you guys here next week, next Thursday. Take care. We'll be back with more football, baseball, basketball, and hockey.